Welcome back to Edgework here on the Hammer Betting Network, a daily live NHL show Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. You can find us here giving out our daily picks on the live shows Monday through Friday. You can find the Edgework podcast, brand new, started last week featuring, or 2 weeks ago, featuring David Pagnotta, Dennis Bernstein, and Zach Bodenstein, breaking down the biggest stories around the NHL. Every Wednesday that will be coming out, and now adding on NHL news, rumors, trade reactions, futures markets, different pre-recorded videos that'll be coming out on this channel. Put out a couple. Rob and I broke down the Islanders trade with Bo Horvat before we knew about the extension, and then Andy and I did a video on Friday talking about some futures markets. So if you're interested in different stuff like that, all things NHL, make sure to subscribe here to the Edgework YouTube channel, and you can also find us on podcasting platforms as Edgework as well, so make sure to get there and don't miss anything. But we obviously haven't been live since last Wednesday because of the All-Star game. No NHL games going on, but we obviously got to have the spectacle that was the All-Star game. Alex, so Money, did you guys partake in any of that action?
No, I don't watch. I don't watch any of it. The only thing I know about the All-Star game this year was that game that went over. It was the total was 12.5 or something, and it went. They scored like 7 goals in the last couple of minutes there.
I heard
that's the
about
only
that.
thing I know about the All-Star game.
Yeah, I didn't see any of it. I saw the skills competition. I got to see Mitch Marner in an all-white suit skating out, and then I did see the cool moment with Ovechkin's son on the ice with Obi and Crosby.
That was cool.
That was pretty cool. So those are two things I caught pretty much for the entire weekend.
Fair enough. And Connor Hartle here saying won a bunch of money on the skills competition, but that was the worst thing I've ever watched.
Yeah.
At least you got something out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I couldn't do it this year, and everything I was seeing online was just that it was the right decision to not watch it. It seemed like this year more than any other was way more gimmicky and just not engaging for people. So it's unfortunate that that's the product that gets put out there, but it is what it is. We move forward. We are back to real hockey here, and as you're kind of coming out of this All-Star break, you get a little bit of a break ourselves to look ahead at some of the futures markets, some of the updated markets that are going on. So Money, there's one that you're looking at right now, specifically in the Western Conference. You got high hopes behind this one. It was something I had looked at earlier in the season and thought maybe this is a team that might fall out of a playoff spot, but what are you looking at right now?
So first, I want to see if I can do this seamlessly here since we're
Okay.
since we're live. But if you followed me last season, you know about my love affair. Sorry? Yeah,
You're good?
I'm good. Hold on. It wasn't as seamless as I
Oh,
thought.
there you go.
All right. So you know about my love affair with the Oilers. Holy, makes my hands look that's nuts. You know what my love affair I had with the Oilers, from the Woodcroft bump all the way to the Western Conference Finals. So look, I fully expect the Avalanche to make a run. They're getting some guys back, but after that, who do you have confidence in right now? So there's any team in that conference right now has the ability to make a run. So why not the team that's at 16-1 right now to win the cup? We've talked about their secondary scoring after McDavid and Draisaitl being an issue, but with Kane back and the team getting production from RNH, from Costin, Hyman's in there, we're seeing the Oilers getting scoring throughout the lineup now. That's been their biggest Achilles heel throughout the last couple of seasons, and we're also seeing in a series that gets tight or that's not going the way that it's supposed to go for the Oilers. You have Connor McDavid, who's shown that he can not only steal games, he can steal whole series. The other thing we've talked about the Oilers, and a bigger concern would be the goaltending. But keep in mind, they made a run with Mike Smith last year. Mike Smith, right?
Yeah.
So even though Skinner has been up and down lately, I do believe that he will eventually take the reins for good there. So not only does he rock the best mustache in the league, I do think that he can be good enough for the Oilers to make another deep run.
Does the depth of the Oilers in terms of their defense here concern you at all with that? I mean, obviously they're going to be looking to add at the deadline. They're one of the teams that basically every conversation I see in regards to the Leafs looking for a defenseman, the other teams involved is typically the LA Kings and the Edmonton Oilers calling on these same defensemen. You're going to add somebody at the deadline. I think that's almost a guarantee at this point. It just depends on the caliber of player, but is there concern for you about that depth? I mean, obviously McDavid and Draisaitl, they can be the guys to be difference makers. They can turn it on, and in the playoffs, there's no concern about, oh, can we play these guys this many minutes, because it's life or death. You play until you don't play anymore, but they are playing 25 plus minutes a night in the regular season here. At some point, that could kind of catch up, and then you're lacking some depth, especially some of that defensive ability. Is that concerning to you at all?
Absolutely, and this is when a bit of the speculation comes in. I fully expect Holland to get some make some moves here to shore up the defense. So this is where we have some speculation, and where I'm trying to get in front of the market here a little bit too, because
Right.
once they do, as I suspect, get the guys that they need in the during the deadline, I think that this price should start dropping.
All right.
And even if they make moves on the blue line, do you trust the depth of the goaltending? Obviously, Jack Campbell having a rough start to the season. Stuart Skinner has kind of emerged as the number one. Can you trust in that tandem moving forward in the postseason?
So I'm higher than most on Skinner. I think that he's going through his what we kind of see sometimes from a kid who's getting his first heavy workload where he's inconsistent. Now, I will say that going into the playoffs, if Skinner takes the reins like I think he should, Campbell does need to be able to step up his game a little bit, just so Skinner doesn't have as much of a heavy workload going into the playoffs. Um, that said, with the Oilers and their goaltending, how much worse can it get than Mike Smith, right? So
Sure, right,
they
yeah.
they made that run with Mike Smith, so like they don't need Skinner, or maybe even Campbell for that matter, to be Vezina quality at this point for this team to make a run in a wide open Western Conference.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Well, we'll track that one in on the bet stamp for the Edgework account. So far, up 42.6 units on the year, 8% ROI. So the Edgework group has been killing it every day. So if you've been following along, hopefully you've been having some success with us in the bets that we've been giving out. So we'll track that one in there, add to our list of futures for our portfolio that we've been building up throughout the course of the season. But let's get to some of the games here tonight. Alex, we'll start with you with two teams that didn't have to travel very far after this All-Star game. Tampa heading to Florida and to take on the Panthers here tonight. Tampa right now, they're sitting third in the Atlantic. They're only 5 points back of Toronto, and they have 4 games in hand on that Leafs team right now. They have been incredibly hot heading into the All-Star game. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They were coming off a 3-game win streak before that break, having beaten Minnesota, Boston, and the LA Kings. This team, though, they're about 500 on the road, 12-11, going in to face off against a Florida team that is going to be in an interesting position here because they're kind of think they can still make the playoffs, and they're not that far out of it. 3 points out behind Pittsburgh right now, and they've played 3 more games than Pittsburgh, but they're 6 points back of Washington in the wild card positions, looking at it there, and they have 1 game in hand on Washington, so at any point, any type of heater could get these guys going. You got Matthew Tkachuk coming in off an All-Star game MVP for whatever that's worth. Barkov was there. You're in front of the home fans. Maybe you get some life into these legs, and this Florida team, they've been all right at home here, 13-7-3. Where do you see this game going between the Lightning and the Panthers here tonight?
So at the beginning of the year, I said that Tampa Bay was going to be kind of a team to fade early, and they would start to kind of turn things around toward the middle of the season. That's exactly what they've done. They went into the All-Star break, winning 8 of their last 10 games. And you look at the schedule starting off now. Quick road trip, in state against Florida. Tomorrow night, they're back home against San Jose, and then they have a really tough schedule. 2 against Colorado, at Dallas, a 4-game road trip out west. I think this is a huge spot for them to, pick up that momentum from where they left off on the break. Obviously, going to be fired up to play against the rival. Like I said, not only just a rival, hated rival, but a team in Florida that is trying to climb back up and get into the playoff spot where, Tampa Bay, it's not like they're, in their usual form of running away with the division. Like I said, they're in third place. So this is a team that's pretty much at their heels a little bit as well, and they have to kind of worry about that. Playoff positioning is going to become important now, and looking at where you are in the standings, points you need. Is the time of year where we see a lot of games end up going to overtime because teams don't want to make mistakes and give up a goal late to lose the game and come out of there with no points. You want to have at least 1 or 2 points moving forward now. So this feels like it'll be one of those tight contested games, and in a tight battle, I trust Tampa Bay more. Kind of want to wait and see what's going to happen with the goaltenders, of course, because Vasilevsky was in the All-Star game. This is a first of a back-to-back, so it could be Elliott getting the start here. But either way, I don't think it matters which one starts in goal right now. I think Tampa is a full unit. It's going to be fired up for this game, and they could put away a Florida team that they've dominated over recent meetings.
So we'd be looking at Tampa just straight up in this one then?
So I got Tampa in regulation, so plus 120. I was able to grab that this morning.
All right.
Can we get some breaking news music here?
Yeah, I'll have to add that in for you, so money.
So the Panthers. I mean, anytime you talk about the Panthers, you need to talk about who's going to start in goal, right? So Bobrovsky looks like he's going to be activated. Lion, great name, but he's going to be getting sent back to the AHL today. Between Bobrovsky and Knight, Knight is a better option, but the way that the season has been going, I mean, flip a coin between the two. So I've got nothing on this game. I'm going to tail Alex on that first period over. Other than that, I'll be sitting this one out.
All right, fair enough. I have a question for you guys I'm curious about because I think it's applicable during the regular season as things go along. It's not necessarily like something that you would base your entire handicap off of, but it's something maybe to consider or look into is how a team's been performing over their previous games. I would talk about Tampa going into the All-Star break. They were 8-2 in their last 10. I think in a regular schedule or as it progresses normally throughout the season, that might be something to look at, how they've been playing, how things are building up, maybe comparing against the other team that they're going against. Obviously, there's still levels of variance that go into each of these games, but in this sense, you have a huge break. How much does how they were playing before apply to where they're going now? Like, you return from the break, Tampa going up against Florida, you were 8-10, you were buzzing along. Florida was 5-3-2 in their last 10, kind of opposite ends of things there. But is that have any carryover? Is there any momentum applicable moving forward?
Oh, you want to take this one?
No, I was going to say I think that's a great question, and it's something that I've actually spent a lot of time on trying to kind of decipher it. And I don't know. I don't in like all my work, I haven't seen any sort of correlation. But that's not to say that there isn't any. So if maybe someone else has a better answer to that, but my simple answer is that I have no idea.
Yeah, there's no tangible trend that you can find with any team really as far as coming out of the break. But the things I look for, like I said, obviously looking at the form of the last few games heading into the break, just kind of seeing where the mindset's at, and just kind of looking at a roster too. A team like Tampa that's veteran laden, guys that have played a lot of hockey that, anytime they can get some extended rest to heal up a little bit, and obviously most of these guys are banged up throughout the league, but looking at some of those older teams like the Washingtons, the Pittsburghs, the Tampas, the Bostons of the world, I think those are teams that can benefit from the break more than say maybe like a New Jersey, for example, who, was starting to kind of heat up right back and going back into the break, and, some younger guys getting some extended time off. I think the veterans got to manage that properly and can kind of harness that energy that they've conserved over the last few days off, bring it back and stop hot into the first couple of games.
All right, there's a question here. So many. We'll start with you. Brian Flynn is asking. I think it helps people with like learning your betting processes in terms of what you guys are talking about here. But Brian Flynn is asking, do you ever check out the bet/handle, and does it ever affect your bet? So many. I'll let you take that.
So I used to when I first started betting, that was something that I used to look at. I've learned over the years that it really doesn't matter, because any type of information that you're getting from bets and handle percentage and all that, it's it's all incomplete. You
Right.
you don't know the full story about at what price that these bets were made, right? Like I I know, like, years ago I used to look at a team that was -3, and like the percentage was on the other line, so you think, oh, it's like reverse line movement there, so all the sharp money must have been on the other side. Well, it's possible, but that's also incomplete, because there's a reason why that line is where it's at right now. The number is the number at that point, right? So it stopped at a certain point. So if that was the sharp number still that you're looking at, why did the people that bet it down to that number, why did they stop at that point? Why did they not keep going? All right. And the other thing too is that um, it depends which book is kind of giving you that number, right?
Right.
Like it makes a big difference if there's verifiable and trustworthy numbers for handle and bet percentage and all that that are coming from a sharper book. Um, that's something that I would love that information. Conversely, there's if there's the same verifiable numbers that are coming from a book that takes a lot of recreational money, I would love that. I would love that information too. But the problem with that is that um, why would a book give that number, right? So like that's the other thing you have to like think about too, is that whatever's out there, why is it there now? Full disclosure, in the past I did work for a sports book, so I was able to see the money come in, and
Right.
I used to verify that with all the free sites, and it wasn't close, right? So
Okay.
right, and so you also have to think about and it's not that they are being deceptive, it's that the numbers that they're putting out there is for a certain point in time. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily reflective of what's happening in real time.
Right. There's also a difference too in terms of, yes, somebody could come in with a large bet on one side, but is that person an influential player in the
Yeah,
market? Is that someone who means anything? Like we see the news out of I can't remember the sports book, but ahead of the Super Bowl, the first $1 million bet came in.
yeah,
Well, is that actionable info, or is that somebody who's a long-term loser who's capable of getting down that kind of money type of thing, and then
yeah,
that's going to influence the number, the amount of money that's on one side, kind of thing. So you
totally.
can,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
it is
and
interesting.
and yeah, and that's what I mean with like knowing which sports book is like giving that information, right? So like if that
Yeah,
$1 million bet is coming from a book that would openly
a
advertise
soft
that they're
book.
taking $1 million, um I, I don't care, right? But if it's like a sharper book that's taking that money and they're moving the line on that money, and I'm able to get actionable information in real time for that,
Yeah,
um then that means a lot more to me.
fair enough. All right, there's a game that you're looking at here tonight, and man, this is a big one for you. I don't know where your heart's gonna be at in this one, having seen. I mean, you go into the All Star game. Bo Horvat was traded just before he goes in there. He's wearing the Islanders gear, but despite the fact that he's wearing the Islanders gear, he's still playing for the Pacific Division in that. And then Elias Pettersson goes out, wins the hardest shot, and now you're gonna have to watch Bo Horvat make his debut after getting a fresh contract with the New York Islanders tonight, facing off in Philadelphia against the Flyers. This Islanders team wasn't so great ahead of the break. That was before Bo Horvat had been traded to them. What are you looking at tonight with this Islanders Flyers game? So money.
So I looked at Horvat's contract yesterday, and going into the season, right? Like there's a lot been made about the Canucks. They picked JT Miller over Horvat, and in hindsight, that looks like a shitty deal, of course. But at that moment, going into the season, um, the Canucks picked the 99-point scorer over a guy that was going into his contract season, right? So it's easy at that moment to make that decision. I remember early in the season when the Horvat contract talks were going on, the Islanders, sorry, the Canucks were in talks with him, and there was like the local show here um, that they had Horvat's agent on, and he said that, well, we're looking for first line money, and I scoffed at. Well, why is he looking for first line money when he's clearly a third line center, right? So now you have um, a career season in a contract season as well, right? So it's a really tough spot for a team to be in. That like what is the real Bo Horvat here? The last few years, or the way that he's played in a contract season. So I'm a fan of Horvat. 8 years at 8.5 is it's wow. But I'm happy for anybody that can secure the bag. So good for
Yeah.
him. He deserves the money. Take your money and go. In this game, um, one thing that stands out is that if you look at Carter Hart's numbers right now, um, you you see an elite goaltender, but digging deeper, you see a goalie that's actually been trending towards league average numbers. He has dealt with injuries, and also the wear and tear of playing on a team that gives up as much as the Flyers do. That's obviously a, a contributing factor here. I've also talked about the Islanders not being a good defensive team in terms of all the chances that they give up. But besides a couple of off games, we haven't seen Sorokin falter at all, right? So I do have him as the best statistical goaltender in on this season. And unlike Hart, I don't have any concerns with the way that he's been playing either. Now the Islanders, based on the last couple of games here and what's coming out of their camp through the All Star break, I think they understand that they need to tighten it up if they are going to make a run. I think that they have been on the right track, although we need to keep in mind that those games were against the Wings and a depleted Vegas team. So, but I don't think the Flyers should be able to generate enough really here to test what the Islanders are attempting what to do defensively. Ultimately, I always say that at this point of the season, you are who you are. I don't think the Islanders are gonna find that magic elixir to suddenly cure all of their defensive woes. So I don't think the Islanders are the playoffs, but in this game here, I don't think the Flyers are going to give them much of a battle here. But now I look at the number, it's gotten out of range for me. Unless what's that minus 128 and 126?
Yeah, 125 there as well.
Yeah, let's do that. So I oh it's like right on the top line there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had I had the Islanders here up to minus 128. That 125 is not going to allow market right now.
Okay, so there are minus 126, minus 128s available. So if you shop around, especially in Ontario, New Jersey, that number is still available. So some of you are saying that's playable up to minus 128 there.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll lock in that as likely a more widely available number. So to track there on the Edgework BetStamp account. That is, if you want to track all the picks that we've given out on this show and we continue to give out every day, make sure to go over and download the BetStamp app. You can find us in the Find Better section as Edgework HQ on there, but we'll lock that one in as it is now. Alex, there's a game that you're looking at here. You've been big proponent of the first period overs, have had a good amount of success on them so far this season. And there's one you're looking at tonight between the Anaheim Ducks and the Dallas Stars. Why are you looking at the first period over in this game tonight?
Well, Dallas ended the break on a 5-game run going over the first period. I think this is another one of those teams that, obviously you look at their standing right now, top of the Central Division, they're plus 550 to win the West. So I think they're gearing up for what's going to be a big run, and they're going to go as far as their goaltending takes them. Jake Ottinger and Scott Wedgwood, he's going to really have to step up in the second half because, like so many was mentioning and talking about with some other teams, with like the Oilers, for example, you have to have your tandem really step up and share the workload evenly in the second half of the season if you want to keep your number one guy fresh enough to make a deep run in the postseason. So Wedgwood's going to be just as important as Jake Ottinger, but I think that tandem is solid enough. And this is an Anaheim team that really struggled heading into the break. I think things are only going to get worse for them, especially on the defensive front. So that's a fairly cheap price to lay. $1.40 with that over 1.5. I think we can see some goals here early from both these teams.
All right. And there's a player prop that was sent to me by someone from the Wednesday and Friday show. Andy McNeil sent this over this morning. He put it in his article you can find on VSiN that he writes his daily NHL picks, but he brought this up to my attention. He said, home and road splits matter. This is from his article. It's no wonder that Robertson has scored 22 of his 33 goals on home ice. He's generated at least 4 shots on goal in 16 out of 24 home games so far this season, compared to just 13 of 26 times on the road. Robertson at over 3.5 shots on goal is a good bet, minus 110. So we'll throw that one in there today for a player prop for anybody who's interested. That one does come from Andy McNeil. So if this one loses, you know what to do. You can tweet at him at Digital Gambler and then join us in the show on Wednesday and just let him know how terrible of a pick it was. But that is the pick from Andy there today. So you can find that minus 110, minus 115. He said up to minus 120 that he liked this one at. So there you go. There's a player prop to lock in for today. Are there any other games that you guys are looking at today that are piquing your interest? Any movement that's going on? So money?
Yeah, for the Flames Rangers game, I would like to see Vladar confirmed for me to possibly make a play on the Flames. Once Vladar does get in there, it is going to push the line a little bit higher. So I do like the Flames if we get Vladar. If it's Markstrom, then I'll be sitting out.
All right, fair enough. There's the current market for this one. Flames plus 112, Rangers minus 118. You can find the over 5.5, minus 110 there available. So make sure to check that out. And then I see here Connor Hartle saying MGM pulled that shots on goal prop. So I tracked that one against Bet365. That should be available in most U.S. states, and it is across Canada right now. So, Alex, any other games that you're looking at here tonight?
No, just kind of keeping it light the first few days because, like I said, this is more of a react and read and react kind of time. The first 2-3 days out of the break, I like to see how, like I said, the form of how teams are. Have they picked up from where they left off in the break? Do they seem a little bit sluggish in the first couple of games? So I usually kind of pepper it small and then get heavier back into the card as the teams get back in the rhythm.
All right, fair enough. So that'll do it for today's Edgework show. If you want to track the picks that we give out on the show in real time, you want to see how they're doing after the fact, you want to see how we've done through the course of the season, make sure to go over to the BetStamp app. You can find us in the Find Betters section as Edgework. And so far on the season, as I've mentioned a few times throughout the show, we've been absolutely crushing it. So make sure to give us a follow on there, up 42 units. Pending bets right now. The Hurricanes to win the Metros, that was sitting at plus 160. That was from Alex Moretto. Tonight we've got Tampa in regulation plus 125. The Islanders minus 128. Jason Robertson over 3.5 shots on goal. Tracked down at minus 115. And then So Money has added the Edmonton Oilers to win the Stanley Cup. Plus 1,800 is available at BetMGM. So if you have different books, make sure to shop around and find the best prices on all these bets that we give out here. Goes a long way, just line shopping, just beating markets that way. So it's a very easy way to win more money than you could with one book or lose less money than you might with a certain book, depending on what prices you're laying. But
sorry, Zach, just a quick thing. Varlamov is confirmed for the Islanders. The market always overreacts to that, so it it is going to push the line a little bit lower. So you can wait out the Islanders for a bit.
All right, fair enough. There you go. We got to get you a breaking news sound effect here, something to pop in every time the goalie announcements happen. Thank you to everyone who tuned in here today. Appreciate it. If you're looking for more content from us, you can find us here on the Edgework channel Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, live, giving our picks for the night, breaking down the games of that day. If you're looking for NHL insights, some of the futures markets and stuff like that, you can find our Wednesday podcast. It's new. I think we have a third episode this week. David Pagnotta, Dennis Bernstein, and Zach Bodenstein looking around the league, looking at some of the futures markets, whether it be player futures or division winners, or if it is Stanley Cup look-aheads. They will have all that kind of stuff, especially as we approach the trade deadline. Those will be great guys to listen to, hearing about some of the movement that could be going on around the league, and maybe give you some insight in terms of what teams to be looking at to go and grab your futures for before they actually do go make a move and the market reacts to that. So make sure to check that out on Wednesday. You can find that here. You can also find that on all podcasting platforms as Edgework as well. So make sure to check that out. But thank you so much to everyone who tuned in. Look forward to seeing everyone here tomorrow again at 10:30. Myself, Alex Moretto, Todd Cordell, and Matt Russell. But so money, Alex, thank you guys for your insights today. Greatly appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you guys throughout the rest of the week.
All right, take it easy, y'all.